All right, YouTube. I honestly don't know which part this is today, but today, as the shepherd was preaching this morning and was revealing to some things to us about the Word and how Christ should be the base for everything. And yes, I will leave a few links in the comments below concerning the historical accounts of Christ, and there's some links even on here on YouTube that that confirm the gospel accounts and the historical accuracy of it. There's even some books that I highly recommend for any of you. Cold Case Christianity is one of them by J. Warner Wallace, and he goes into a detailed study of how the gospel accounts are validated from Christ's empty tomb and through a homicidal murder investigation of the Romans, etc., etc., etc. So that's pretty much what we have learned here today. It was live streamed on Facebook. Pastor Charles Walker, I hope you don't mind if I refer to you because you're back there right now, brother. But anyhow, so apparently God is doing something. But for me personally, He has showed me, it's all linking back to Eden. And it's just everything that connects together. It's kind of like the atom that I referred to the other day regarding the number 3 and unity, and how he just said behind the pulpit that we are all to be in unity because apparently in our dispensationalism of today, we are in the age of Ephesus. Now, he also elaborated on how many different scholars are debating with the tops and shadows. And for me personally, that was my focus, was the top and shadows for the Joseph story. But he has revealed to me that pretty much the Messiah is my top and shadow and the only one I will ever need, because it is a core basis for my Joseph story, yet it's repeated in the gospel accounts and many other accounts of Scripture if you just actually look at it. Just abide by Romans 8. The pneumatology, the Rhema word, not just the Logos word, not just the written word, that it's just a library of books compiled into one leather-bound publication. It's not just a library of this in a original canon that has its own literary work. But that's the Logos. The Rhema word is what the pneumatological experience that you receive from the inside of you, which is also referring back to the Eden study. And it's got an OCI emblem on it from Cleveland, Tennessee. And actually, I did not consider the continuity of part 3, but apparently God has been revealing to me different studies about foundations and about wells and about just basic things of life that we are to return to as the church and as even humanity as a whole. So apparently with me, he's just doing something so incredible, and how the atom 3 is God's number. The protons, the electrons, and the neutrons. 3 different epistemic methods we use in our own psychologies as different people in society. Abductive reasoning, inductive reasoning, and deductive reasoning. And furthermore, hold on, I think my mind's slipping from me. But yes, it is. Okay. And 3 different stages of metaphysics. There is time, eternity, and as I keep reiterating, what I've come to learn from this awesome book by Dr. Jonathan D. Sarfati, he expounded on such a remarkable truth, not just fact, but truth, that We are in time. But God is not necessarily in time either. He is beyond time. He is beyond us. But then again, because He has created eternal spirits, both fallen cherubim and the rest of the angelic divisions. The third heaven, everything. So apparently He is beyond eternity. So then again, there's 3 levels: time, eternity, and beyond eternity. So 3, the Jewish temple, the outer court, the inner court, and the Holy of Holies. And as Damon Thompson had expounded on, today in America's society, we have a stage and a pulpit with a viewing audience from egotistic leader architecture. We do not have the outer court, the inner court, and the Holy of Holies as Christ had modeled in the early church. There's a lot of integrating factors that God is dealing with me personally and here on this plateau of Sand Mountain, Alabama. Anyways, we're going to talk for the rest of the discussion. We're going to be conversing about my Eden, my 3 areas. Okay, 1 by Brandon Heath, listed in the link below. It's here on YouTube. 1, my Eden. Actually, come to think of it, I have 3 Edens. But my primary Eden was Ider High School. It was my home. It was where I get into my forbidden fruit that I have been partaking of that led me away outside and into the real world, outside of my innocence, outside of knowing everything was right and focusing on everything is wrong with me. It's a constant cycle because, and with Eden itself, who's to say that the third heaven is not our original Eden? So what He has been revealing to me is, who's to say we weren't already up there before? Is our memory blocked by the neurology of Genesis chapter 3, to which the maximum capacity of our brains is only by 10%? Furthermore, for a detailed study for an inquisitive thought that might provoke your mind, our maximum capacity is only 10% neurologically, correct? So, how does this necessarily link to tithing? Did God tithe His glory back to us in the curse when He could have just eradicated us and dealt away with everything? Did He try to lead us on in the chances that He's giving us? Who is tithing here? Are you tithing your neurology? Which epistemic method do you use, should you use, or are you created with? Are you best at abductive reasoning? Are you best at inductive reasoning? Are you best at deductive reasoning? What is your epistemology? Return to your Eden and start begging for money like I previously had illustrated. Your knowledge. Put your mind in neutral. See the whole picture. Connect the dots, the puzzle pieces. However, that was my Eden. The school. It was where I received my social problems as me personally being an Aspie. Yet, none of us, locally guys, none of us ever knew what was going on with us at the time. So, in essence, yes, I had 3 Edens. And, like I said, repetitively, 3 is God's number, guys. So, that was my first Eden. My second Eden was my spiritual home. Not my intellectual home, but where I was drawn towards. The wells that I have dreamed about concerning that place as well. I have numerous places about Fort Payne, and I commend you, brother, for being a part of everything that God is doing. I don't want to call your name out, But the non-denominational church was my first home. It was my childhood. It was one of my Edens. It was you. All of you were my supernatural Eden. And the well that is springing up from there. Now, what God, this Creator, is doing right now. So that was my second Eden with Fort Payne. I believe it was on Galt Avenue. Coming into Collinsville. Hint, hint. So, my third Eden, and my time is running out on this increment. I have 11 minutes on this increment. So, my third Eden was Scottsboro, Alabama, Jackson County Park. It was where I could get away. It was where I could have my own vacation with family around a bonfire like Brandon Heath had referred to. It was where I could fish in silent serenity with my own Father. And you know who you are. It reminds me of that one time when us two were together. And we were on the boat, on a bass boat, I believe. And we were under the bridge. And all these cars kept passing by on the bridge, making all of these annoying noises. And I looked up to you, Dad, and I said, Dad, that sound is getting on my nerves. Then you looked at me, son, and said, I bet deaf people would have loved to hear that sound. You've provoked my mind. You have made me consider all the jars that we all have been through over the past. And I hope any of you locals are not offended by me hinting anything about this. But I've just got to tell the world who my Creator is to me. So those are my three Edens. Second, what is my forbidden fruit? Like I illustrated before, striking matches with people. The pointing fingers. Everyone was pointing fingers to me at this school. I was pointing fingers back at them in my own emotional state that I concealed. Yet I masked it up with all this comedic humor that I figured you all could laugh at, could not laugh at, but laugh with, to make you happy, to make your heart smile like a child would, the innocence, the loving, the humor. Who's to say that God does not have a sense of humor? I mean, considering the time, if we have all these finite emotions, who's to say that He has some emotions that we don't even have? Are we made in His image? Think about all this, guys. So, my last point. What is my heart? Concerning the way my life has been and who all I'm led to and what God is showing me, it is my Elijah's. It is Elisha's. I'm sorry, I'm the Elijah. But it is the younger generation. It is people younger than millennials. It is even children who were so innocent in their own Eden at the time. And what God has showed me is, don't go too far. Don't jump in with both feet and teach them about everything wrong with the world and put them in that box and chisel them, like I explained on sociology success and the time of transition. The I, an illusion. So these guys right here are my heart. They're my heart. And I hope and pray that God does something with you in your Eden. I pray that God brings you back to your innocence and to an everlasting loving relationship, informal relationship with Him. So guys, we all love you. We're here at Henniger Church of God, and God is moving. Consider all of your money that I have